He stood beside a United States Congresswoman at political rallies. He wore tactical gear. He carried a firearm. Real police officers worked under him, trusted him, respected him. His name was Mike King. And Mike King did not exist. What you are about to hear is a true story. A story about a man who built an entire life, from the ground up, out of nothing but lies. A fabricated name, a fake federal agency, stolen government license plates, a security empire constructed entirely on deception. For years, not months, years, this man moved freely through some of the most protected political spaces in the state of Texas. He stood close to power. He coordinated with law enforcement. He ran a real business with real police officers under his command. And nobody, not Congress, not the Capitol Police, not the sworn officers who worked beside him every single day, had any idea who he truly was. By the time investigators finally closed in on him, it was already too late for a quiet arrest. What happened next, in a parking garage at a children's hospital in Dallas, Texas, would shock the nation. It would expose a terrifying gap in the very systems designed to protect America's lawmakers. And it would end in gunfire. Stay with me, because this story goes much deeper than a fake badge. To understand how it all ended, you first need to understand how it all began. You need to understand how one man, a man with a criminal record stretching back 17 years, managed to convince an entire city that he was someone else entirely. And it starts with a name. His real name was Diamond Mazere Robinson. He was 39 years old. And for years, for a significant portion of his adult life, almost nobody in his professional world knew that name. Not his clients, not his business partners, not the officers who took his orders on security jobs across North Texas. To all of them, he was simply Mike King, a business owner, a security professional, a man of authority and discipline who showed up in tactical gear, coordinated with real law enforcement, and carried himself with the kind of quiet confidence that makes people trust you without asking too many questions. He seemed legitimate. He seemed experienced. He seemed, by every outward measure, like exactly the kind of man you would want standing guard at a political event. But court records tell a very different story. Starting as far back as 2009, when Robinson was just 22 years old, he began accumulating a criminal record that would stretch across the better part of a decade. At least 7 theft arrests. Across Dallas, Duncanville, Irving, Dallas County. Cases involving stolen cars, forged checks, scams. He pleaded guilty. Multiple times. He received probation. He violated that probation. By 2017, 9 years before the events we are about to describe, Robinson had 2 active felony theft warrants sitting on the books, a parole violation, a pattern of offending that any standard background check should have surfaced immediately. Those warrants were never served. Those warrants were still active, years later, when Diamond Mazere Robinson was standing guard beside a sitting member of the United States Congress. But Robinson didn't just give himself a new name. That alone would have been audacious enough. He went much further. He created a fictional federal law enforcement agency. From scratch, he called it the Specialty Dignitary Police. He designed official-looking identification cards for it. He printed them. He distributed them. He presented these fabricated credentials as if they were genuine federal documents, and people believed him. Think about what that takes. The nerve, the attention to detail, the understanding of how authority looks, sounds, and presents itself. Robinson had studied all of it, and he had replicated it well enough to deceive not just ordinary civilians, but actual, trained law enforcement officers. The agency did not exist. The credentials were invented. And for years, it worked.
During the investigation, detectives learned Robinson had been using fictitious information and wearing police-style uniforms to falsely represent himself as a federal agent. Detectives also learned Robinson used the alias Mike King and created fraudulent businesses using false identifying information to hire legitimate police officers for off-duty jobs.
But here is where the deception becomes almost impossible to fully comprehend. Robinson didn't just impersonate a federal officer in isolation. He built a business around it. He founded a company called Off-Duty Police Services. On paper, it was a security staffing firm, a company that placed law enforcement officers into off-duty security jobs across North Texas. And it wasn't a shell operation. It was real. It functioned. It secured contracts. And the officers it employed? Real, sworn Dallas police officers. Legitimate, credentialed, fully trained law enforcement professionals who worked jobs alongside the man they knew as Mike King and never once suspected he was a convicted felon operating under a false identity. Some of those officers later told investigators that they genuinely believed Robinson was a detective with the United States Capitol Police. His own words, his own projection, and they accepted it. This is where the story becomes about more than one man. Because identity fraud at this level, sustained, convincing, multi-layered identity fraud, doesn't happen by accident. It is a skill, a practiced, deliberate skill. Researchers and psychologists who study long-term imposters consistently describe the same pattern. The most successful fraudsters don't just lie about who they are. They construct an entire world around the lie. They adopt the language of the role. They understand the culture. They know how people in positions of authority speak, dress, move, and behave, and they mirror it precisely. Robinson allegedly understood this deeply.
Very smooth guy, very friendly. If you met him, you would not know that he had ever been in trouble, that he had ever been to prison. He seemed to be very accommodating, very nice, very smart, very well dressed.
A former attorney who had represented him in an earlier fraud case described him to media as, and I'm quoting here, very smooth, very friendly. The kind of person who seemed immediately trustworthy. Someone who put you at ease. Someone who made you feel like you already knew him. But here is the part that should truly alarm you. This wasn't just one man fooling a handful of people in a room. This was a man running a business, a functioning, contract-winning business, that placed real police officers into security roles all across North Texas. His company was reportedly in conversations to provide security personnel at upcoming FIFA World Cup games scheduled for the Dallas area. Events that would draw international attention, global media coverage, and thousands of visitors from around the world. The question is no longer simply, how did he get away with it for so long? The question, the far more uncomfortable question, is this: who let him in? Because the answer to that question doesn't stay in the streets of Dallas. It leads directly into the offices of the United States Congress, into the security protocols designed to protect the people who make America's laws, and into one Congresswoman's shocking admission that the systems meant to keep her safe had failed her completely.
I'm going to start with Tupac. We're going to start with the fact that Tupac famously said, for those of you that didn't necessarily listen to rap, that we've got money for war, but we can't feed the poor. And the reason that I bring this up is for two reasons. Number one, in order to get Maduro, the estimated cost is $3 billion. I can guarantee you that a lot of Americans would say, yes, there's a valid warrant and things like that, but for the cost of $3 billion, let's put our money somewhere else.
U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett represents Texas's 30th Congressional District. She is one of the most recognizable progressive voices in American politics, a former public defender, a vocal advocate for civil rights, and a congresswoman who, by her own account, regularly receives what she has described as credible and sophisticated death threats. For someone in her position, security is not optional. It is not a luxury. It is a necessity. And the man she trusted to help provide that security, for years, including during her recent campaign for a seat in the United States Senate, was the man she knew as Mike King. Robinson has been standing directly beside Congresswoman Crockett at public events, at campaign rallies, at community functions. He was not on the perimeter. He was not watching from a distance. He was inside the circle. Trusted, present, close. The Congresswoman's office has stated that they followed all U.S. House protocols when contracting additional security. Robinson's firm, Off-Duty Police Services, was an approved vendor. That approval apparently came without anyone uncovering the man behind it. Had Diamond Mazere Robinson, or Mike King, ever been subjected to a criminal background check? Capitol Police did not respond initially. When they did, they confirmed something significant. Robinson did not work for, and was not affiliated with, the Capitol Police in any capacity, despite telling real officers for years that he was a Capitol Police detective.
He is very good at hiding his true identity. And through great police work from the intelligence unit in the Irving Police Department, we were, through technology, able to determine who his real identity was. But he had been living this for many years at this Mike King.
Here is what the investigation revealed about how the system failed. Robinson operated his security business under the alias Mike King. He used fraudulent credentials, including identification cards for his invented federal agency, to present himself as a legitimate, federally connected security professional. This gave his company an air of authority that made it attractive to hire. He then placed real, sworn police officers into security jobs through that company. Their genuine credentials, their real badges, their real training, their real professional reputations became a shield that surrounded him. Their legitimacy, in a sense, became his legitimacy. And the system that was supposed to catch this, background check processes, vendor vetting protocols, congressional security screening, none of it caught it. Dallas police investigators say they did not discover Robinson's true identity until after he became the subject of a federal investigation and a vehicle with stolen plates brought him to their attention. Not years of working alongside police officers. Not years of security contracts. Not years of proximity to a sitting member of Congress. A stolen license plate.
Detectives also learned he was operating multiple vehicles during this investigation. The black GMC Yukon and a white Ford F-250 were both reported stolen, and detectives determined he was also operating a silver Dodge Charger, also displaying stolen government license plate. We understand there are additional questions related to other aspects of this investigation.
Security professionals and policy analysts who have reviewed this case point to a structural vulnerability that goes well beyond one congressman's security arrangement. In the United States, private security contractors are largely vetted by the companies that hire them, not by government agencies. When those companies are run by individuals with genuine law enforcement connections, the system functions reasonably well. The social networks, professional references, and institutional relationships create layers of informal accountability. But when the company itself is controlled by an impersonator, someone who has specifically constructed a false identity to exploit those exact networks, the system has no mechanism to catch the fraud. Because the fraud is designed to look like legitimacy. Robinson's business model, investigators say, was almost elegant in its exploitation of this gap. By hiring real officers, he gave his entire operation the smell of legitimacy. Real officers vouched, unknowingly, for a man whose entire identity was fabricated. And then, in late February 2026, something small happened. The kind of small thing that unravels big lies. The Irving Police Department released a routine bulletin. A vehicle with stolen federal government license plates. A black SUV. A Dallas police officer saw that bulletin and paused. Beat, he had seen that vehicle before. 6 months earlier. Working an off-duty security job. The man behind the wheel was his employer. The man he knew as Mike King. Investigators began pulling the thread. And once it started pulling, everything came undone. What followed over the next 2 weeks was a manhunt. Federal charges. An active fugitive. And on the night of March 11, 2026, a confrontation at a children's hospital in Dallas that Dallas police body cameras captured in full. A confrontation that lasted 1 hour and ended with 3 SWAT rifles fired.
Hey, stop the car!
Stop the car!
Move your car, move your car. Stop!
Stop!
Go.
By early March 2026, investigators had connected the dots. The vehicle with stolen government plates. The fake agency. The fraudulent credentials. The man calling himself Mike King, who real officers now suspected was operating under a false identity while the subject of an active federal investigation into impersonating a law enforcement officer. A manhunt was opened, and on March 11th, Dallas police spotted Diamond Mazere Robinson driving through the city. They attempted to pull him over. Robinson ran. He briefly escaped the initial traffic stop, slipping away before officers could contain him. But police tracked him. They followed his vehicle through Dallas. And they found him, barricaded inside a car, in the parking garage of Children's Medical Center Dallas. one of the most recognizable hospitals in the city, a building where, on any given night, hundreds of families are inside waiting on news about their children. It was just after 9 o'clock in the evening. So what was called? Negotiators arrived, and what followed, all of it, was captured on Dallas Police Department body cameras. Footage that has since been released publicly and broadcast across every major news network in the country.
Get intel that these armed. If his hand goes down, I'm sending this rally. Yep. I need to know he's got that gun on him.
We want this to go peaceful. We want you to do what I ask you to do, and you won't get hurt. We don't want anybody to get hurt. It ain't working. I know you're armed.
I got it.
All I want you to do is when you exit the car, let it fall.
For 1 hour, negotiators worked to talk Robinson out of the vehicle. An entire hour. 60 minutes of back and forth. Officers positioned around the parking garage. SWAT teams in place. A city block effectively locked down around a man sitting in a car. A man who had spent years building a false identity, who knew that if he stepped out of that vehicle, the identity was over. Everything he had constructed, every credential, every alias, every contract, every relationship built under the name Mike King, all of it would end the moment he surrendered. He did not surrender. Officers deployed tear gas to force Robinson from the vehicle. He emerged, and as he stepped out, body camera footage shows him raising a stolen handgun.
Come on. This is it. Come on. Get out. Come on. Get out. Get out. Keep your hands up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Put your hand up. Don't reach. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hold.
Hey, get behind cover.
Hold. All right, hey, we're fine. Easy. Everybody good? Is everybody good? Okay.
Go to the right. Go to the right. Hey, watch your backdrop. There's operators on that floor.
He did not listen. 3 SWAT officers fired their tactical rifles. Diamond Mazere Robinson was hit multiple times. He died at the scene.
Investigators recovered a total of 11 firearms connected to this investigation. The handgun that was in Robinson's hand at the time of the shooting was reported stolen. Additional firearms were recovered from other vehicles associated with Robinson as well as his residence.
In the aftermath of the shooting, investigators moved through Robinson's home and his vehicles. What they found painted a complete picture of a man who had been living inside a constructed world for years. 11 firearms, at least one of them stolen, including the handgun he had raised at officers moments before his death. 2 vehicles with stolen government license plates. Plates taken from cars parked outside a military recruiting office. 3 active warrants. Evidence of fraud-related activity. And a computer. If this story got to you, if it made you think, made you uncomfortable, made you ask questions about the systems we all put our faith in, then you are exactly who this channel exists for. We are here to cover the stories that live at the intersection of truth and disbelief. The cases that are completely factual, but feel like they couldn't possibly be real. And we are just getting started. So here's what I need from you right now. If this video gave you something, a new perspective, a fact you didn't know, a story worth sharing, hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it helps this story reach the people who need to hear it. Subscribe to this channel, because next week, we go even deeper. New case, new story, same commitment to getting every fact right. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Do you believe the system failed here? Or do you think one man simply outsmarted it? That is a real question, and I want real answers from you. And if you know someone who needs to see this, someone who thinks they know how government security works, someone who would be shocked by this story, share this video with them today. This has been Dark Tapes. Stay informed, stay aware, and I will see you in the next one.